Hello, I'm Brian McKenna from the Enterprise Strategy Group. I'm here at Infosecurity Europe in London, and I'm here with my very brilliant colleague, Alex Scroxton, who is a security editor at Computer Weekly. Hi, Alex. How are you doing, Alex?
I'm
Second
well,
day of the
thank you.
conference.
Yeah, I don't know about brilliant, but I'm well otherwise. It's been a busy couple of days, very busy yesterday, lots of people on the show floor.
Yeah.
Having an interesting time. So
Yeah, day 2 of Infosec, day 1 of Glastonbury. Where would you rather be?
it is, well, nobody's playing Glastonbury today, but I am looking forward to watching Elton John on Sunday evening. So
And it's
on
also
the telly, obviously.
And it's also the summer solstice, so
And
it's
it's
all happening. So yesterday, Alex, we were both in the opening keynote. Michael Johnson, the US Olympian athlete, perhaps not an obvious choice for Infosec, but what did you think?
I mean, he's a very charismatic and engaging speaker, and his athletic record speaks for itself, obviously, with
yeah, he's a remarkable human being, isn't he?
gold medals across 3 successive Olympics, the only man ever to have held the 200 and 400 meter Olympic titles simultaneously. What does this have to do with cybersecurity? You might reasonably ask.
What does it have to do with Infosec pros?
Well, a lot of the lessons that speakers like Michael can deliver are useful in any line of work, really. That's how people make their living delivering keynotes. In terms of lessons for cybersecurity professionals, he's not going to tell us about vulnerabilities or ransomware resilience or anything like that.
It'd be amazing if he were to have done that.
I would have been even more impressed.
Yeah.
But you know, he can deliver lessons around motivation and consistency being key in cybersecurity. You have to be getting it right all the time. You have to be at the top of your game. So, you know, bringing your best self to the workplace.
Yeah. Being super prepared.
The best you can be.
Yeah.
And those are all lessons that we can all take away, I think.
Yeah, and I thought he communicated those incredibly well. Very kind of measured, very measured.
Absolutely. And if he gets through to one more person than Computer Weekly might do, but just because he's Michael Johnson, then, you know, that's I'll take that win.
Yeah. So I understand something has piqued your attention around the convergence of physical and information security. Is that right?
Yeah, there's been a bit more chatter this year about that coming together of physical and cyber, and these are two realms that are, it makes sense that they have a close relationship, and I think they've maybe become separated in the minds of many people over the past few years, when that's not necessarily the case. When people considering risk need to be considering their building security, the security of connected machines, particularly in manufacturing and other critical sectors, in just the same way as they consider the security of, you know, their software supply chain dependencies or their servers, for example.
Yeah, and there's one particular thing to do with under the sea.
Yes, yesterday morning I went under the sea with the analysts at Recorded Future to talk about submarine cables and some of the risks to those, which is, again, not a topic that you really
I know, you just don't think
about that,
do
in a
you?
cyber context.
You don't think about the internet being under the sea.
It is, and there are thousands of miles of cables linking the 5 continents. Very important key links going across the Atlantic and coming ashore in the UK and Ireland, connecting us to the United States, and similar cables running down the Atlantic into Africa.
Yeah.
And there are vulnerable weak spots all over the place that a malicious actor could really exploit to do some damage. There are issues where cables come ashore. There are issues even out at sea, and this is becoming a geopolitical issue too, which is
if a bad actor were to, you know, enable an attack like that and do an attack like that, what could we then do?
We would expect to see internet outages. We would expect to see slowdowns. We would expect to see key systems knocked offline. If the UK was cut off in such a way that, you know, people couldn't continue to do business, we'd be facing serious reputational damage to our banking and business systems.
So there's nothing specific you could do or that we could do as a society or companies can do. It's more about being resilient, I guess.
Yeah, obviously as a consumer, there's nothing that you can do.
No.
As a CISO, I hope we'd have some CISOs watching. There's also not really anything you can do. It's a risk that exists outside of your remit almost.
Yeah.
The best way, I think, to address that kind of thing is to ensure that you are yourself as resilient as possible.
Yeah.
To know where your data is, to know how to get to your backups, to have redundant network connections if a vital cable is knocked out.
Yeah, so it's important for security teams to do kind of scenario planning around what might seem to be an outlandish risk.
Yeah,
but
being prepared, and I can bring that back to Michael Johnson in terms of his race preparation that he was talking about yesterday, and studying the techniques of his competitors like Carl Lewis to really get under their skin. So there's a lot to be said for planning and preparedness, and that's how we deal with that kind of risk. Yeah,
because when the moment comes, the moment comes. That's one of the things that I took from his talk yesterday, that, you just, and when you've got to that point where you're racing.
Yeah, he has 19 seconds to run a 200-meter race, and,
it's been years
a security
of
team
preparation,
maybe has seconds to stop a ransomware locker from executing.
And being resilient to ransomware, that's maybe a less outlandish threat, because it seems to happen a lot. It's going to happen, and then it's a question of, well, how prepared are you to recover from that? Yeah.
Interestingly, on ransomware, what we have seen lately is a kind of flattening of the volumes, which may be down to a couple of factors. The inability to recruit was mentioned to me a few days ago. In some cases, because all the people they might ordinarily use are off fighting in Ukraine. And their tooling as well, the tooling has reached a plateau in terms of what they're able to do. And in some of the big ransom and extortion attacks that we've seen this year, we haven't actually seen ransomware being deployed at all. It's been straight up extortion.
Yeah. But the preparedness message is still a very, very important message.
You should still be prepared for it, obviously, and again, those basics and those fundamentals, know where your backups are, etc., etc.
Yeah, and ESG has some brilliant research in this area on preparedness for ransomware, which was published a couple of years ago, and then it's now being done again, and the results are coming back from the field now. I do know that.
Yeah, I'll be excited to see what it comes up with.
Yeah, I think it will be. So any sessions that you're going to today, anything you're going to look out for?
So I'm talking to a few hackers today. I'm meeting with some old contacts at HackerOne later this morning to talk about ethical hacking and bug bounties. I'm connecting with BugCrowd later. They're crowdsourced vulnerability hunters.
Yeah.
And they're putting out a report. I think I'm probably allowed to say this, but if not, if I'm breaking an embargo, I apologize. They're putting out a report in the very near future called Inside the Mind of a Hacker, which is an annual thing that they do. And last year's report contains some really interesting snippets, and this year's report should be exciting as well. So I'll be getting a bit of a preview of that. I'll be talking to Darktrace as well about generative AI and ChatGPT, which is something a lot of people have been asking about at Infosec this year.
Well, that sounds like a fun day. Who needs Glastonbury?
Lots planned. Well, yeah, exactly.
Thanks so much for that, Alex. That was really interesting. Thanks a lot.
No, thank you for having us. Enjoy the show.
Cheers. And for those of you watching, thanks a lot. Bye.